A big day yesterday for Vice President Biden, who got that prime leadoff position, introducing the President of the United States, and of course he made the most of it. Take a look.
Big day.
Big day, all the way. Watch this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Thank you, everybody.
If Joe Biden didn't exist, we'd have to make him up. I mean, we need to.
He's
There's someone
truly
to
the
fill
people.
this role.
Actually, Joe Biden's appeal.
I know. I was gonna say he's the people's president.
People, well,
You know, like
or
people
vice
like
president.
Obama because he's cooler than we are. Joe Biden is exactly who we are.
Exactly who we are, right. Anna Marie Cox joining us from GQ magazine. And I want to start with what we discussed a little bit with Congressman Larson, a question we put out on Twitter as well. Whether the kind of mentality around this has all changed, and whether this is going to make it easier for Democrats to kind of minimize their losses in 2010.
Well, I think so, but I can't believe. Part of me, like, I can't believe we're having this discussion. I mean, we've been talking about healthcare for a year, like literally a year. You guys are coming up on a year anniversary, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
very
I think
close.
I'm not sure if there's a week that I've been here that we haven't talked about healthcare, and I hope maybe we'll just keep talking about it. But what's interesting is I think that we've been saying from the beginning that there are things in this that you can run on. That this is not the poison pill that the Republicans have sort of painted it to be or portrayed it to be. And I think that that's what Democrats are finally realizing.
But that doesn't necessarily make it an automatic win, right? I mean, there still are the Republican line of attack here, sort of, which I don't think they're going to focus just on healthcare. My sense of talking to Republicans is this is going to be rolled into a bigger message about government, too much government in your lives. Auto bailout, bank bailout, healthcare, cap and trade. That's all going to be part of a piece, and that seems to still have some traction.
Well,
out
it
there.
has some traction with people who are activists right now. When I was calling around yesterday and today, I talked to people in both the House and the Senate and Democrats and Republicans who said that their big lesson, or one of the lessons that they learned from this fight, is how much influence the Tea Party movement has with Republicans. That is a bigger influence than they thought. Even Republicans were sort of like surprised by the energy and and again, it's the influence that matters. Like, I think that we were able to, or a lot of people were able to kind of say, well, if they're fringe, you know, our elected representatives aren't going to listen to those people carrying birth certificate signs, but are.
Right. Well, in some ways, it's a big moment, but also a small moment for them, or a shrinking moment for them, because certainly the reaction on the Hill from Republicans suggests that they're now beginning to realize this isn't something that's just remaking all of national politics.
Well, because it isn't remaking all of national politics. It'll be interesting to see, like, when we finally get to some primaries where we're going to see more moderate Republicans going against a Tea Party candidate, what happens?
We saw a poll come out today, Quinnipiac University poll, on the Tea Party issue, and it basically said, I mean, only 13% of the country is identifying themselves, right, as a member of the Tea Party, right? So obviously it's a small sliver to begin with. But if there's a Tea Party and a Republican and a Democrat, the Democrat's going to win every time.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes,
and also we have Sarah Palin saying that the creation of a third party is not a bad idea.
And we love Sarah Palin on this
We
program.
do love Sarah
as well.
Palin.
Anna, you've been reporting on something for GQ that kind of gets at power in Washington, and I'm curious as to whether the perceptions have changed the same way that we're talking about them. The perceptions around healthcare changing over the last week.
Right. I mean, it's important to notice that power is something that most people probably don't really care about, and it doesn't affect policy that much. But it was interesting. Last week I was calling around, and almost everyone said the most powerful person in Washington was Mitch McConnell. Even former Democratic staffers for Daschle were saying, you know, I love Tom Daschle, but he could never do what Mitch McConnell is doing right now. Calling around again, Republicans still say it's Mitch McConnell. Democrats say Nancy Pelosi, of course. And then I've heard a couple people say that they wonder how this is going to have an impact on Rahm. Which I had not really thought of. I thought, if anything, this is a win for everyone in the White House.
Where does Mitch McConnell demonstrate his power?
By keeping that party line vote, keeping them unified. That someone said, you know, that Boehner and Cantor look good on television, but they could not whip, you know, anybody into shape. I actually used stronger language than that. But,
Biden-esque language, perhaps?
Biden-esque language.
If we might.
And I believe that was a Democrat that said that, too.
Briefly on in our last 20 seconds or so, do you see the Democrats wanting to move on to another issue, or kind of taking more of a victory lap over the next week or so?
If I had to place money on it, I'd say that I bet they try to take a little bit more of a victory lap.
Yeah,
This has turned around so dramatically for them. I think they're going to ride that out.
We should mention a little bit of breaking news. Dan Senor not running for Senate in New York, so they're
I was really looking
Republicans.
forward to redebating the Iraq War, though.
This is like
still
the
looking.
18th Republican not
Not
running
running,
for the
not running,
Senate.
yeah.
This is insane.
It's a process of elimination.
Well, I assume someone will be on the ballot, but that may be a safe assumption. Anna Marie Cox, GQ magazine. You don't have. There's a Q on your shirt, but no G, but and a lot of
G.
other letters that look
By
like.
far one of the most powerful people in Washington.
There you go, on our list.
Yeah,
Thanks,
make the
Donna.
list.
That does it for this edition of Top Line. Click us on again tomorrow.
Twitter.com/The Note. Big bleeping deals all day long.
Are you going to run for Senate?